Hey ABC, it's Greeno. Time for another update. Went digging yesterday, found a few things, showed a couple of those. A couple things come in the mail, and just what's been spinning out of the just in piles, and a couple things pulled out of the collection. It's going to be a little bit of everything, so just kind of hang tight. Might do a longer video. Last couple have been short, so go back to a long one this time. Who knows? But first up, wanted to show a CD. Some friends of mine have a band together called Back Alley Heroes, and they've been basically, writing music in the basement and recorded this thing in the basement. Sounds really, really cool. We're gonna show that. I've known these guys forever. Played in bands with a couple of them. Recorded a punk album with a couple of them back in the 90s. Known one since high school, and yeah, like I say, known them forever. So kind of just wanted to talk about it and show it. I got a few extra copies. They had them pressed up. Just did like a little digipack or a cardboard sleeve kind of thing. Come out really cool. But like I said, I got a couple of extra copies, and I think I'm going to send them out to some of the VC people, just who I think will dig this. Basically what this is guys my age, in their 40s, writing rock and roll songs, in a style that they loved when they were younger, what influenced them, and that kind of thing. So on here is everything from, overall I would say it's a power pop kind of an album, but there's influences, New York Dolls, early Kiss, going into the Knack, and up into the 80s. There's one track on here called Go Go Girls Gone Mad, which is totally like Jason and the Scorchers, a tamed version of Jason and the Scorchers. The track that really sticks out to me on here is Steady Boy, which is fantastic. It's like it's the best Knack song that Knack never wrote. That Knack didn't write. But very cool. And like I say, I got a few extra copies. I'm going to send them out to people who I think will, that I know enjoy that type of music. Got a couple people in mind. And, gonna be watching. They'll be coming in the mail. And if you guys are watching any of the Back Alley Heroes, put out something on vinyl. And I suggest a 45 of Steady Boy backed by Go Go Girls Going Mad. It'd be fantastic. But like I say, there's a little bit of everything on here. A couple songs have been around for a long time, like a song called Satellite. That song's probably 15 years old and has been through many different changes. It's Chris wrote that one, and they did a version on here, and it's very cool. There's one song goes back, it's called Junkie Street, goes back to my time with some of the guys, like I said, when we were in a punk band called Rocket Scientists. Towards the end of that. So, anyways, this is on Amazon. They were telling me they've put it basically everywhere. Amazon, iTunes, all that. You can go check it out, download it, buy it, whatever. Very cool if you dig power pop, man. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very cool. It's a fun album. But, in being equal and being fair, there are a couple things that negative, I guess you could say. Nothing major. One would be, and this is a personal thing, I hate intros to albums, and that's any kind of music. If I put on a metal album and it has an intro with piano and screaming in the back and chains and whips and it's 30 seconds to a minute long, skip. I don't listen to it. Hate it. It's just a personal thing. They do have an intro on here, which it's cool music, no vocals. It's about a minute, minute and a half. Has a cool time change in it, but don't like it as an intro. Just me, it's a personal thing. And one other thing is I've noticed overall the vocals are just a little bit low in the mix. But again, it's not a big deal. It's very well done for dudes doing it in the basement. Yeah, this is all 100% indie done. They recorded it at home, sent them out, had them, or sent out the master or whatever, had them pressed up, doing this all on their own. So, I don't know, give them a shot, check it out. And like I say, I'll be sending a couple, out to the people I think will dig it. Okay, moving along, kind of jump into, I guess we'll do the metal here first. But what's playing in the background, just found this yesterday. This was kind of, I went to the hippie shop, that's what I call it. Older guy runs it, really cool. And what I'll kind of do is go in about 2-3 times a year. And he just turns me on to stuff I've never heard before. So it tends to be 60s and 70s stuff. And he always has cool, weird reissues. And this was one. It's a band called Spot. This is from 1971, and they were from Switzerland. It's playing now in the background. Nice gatefold. This is a very well done reissue. Very rare album. I was trying to look up some information and ended up on Discogs, and like originals are $800 or more. It looks like, but pretty cool. It's it has its heavy moments, but it's kind of like touches of psych and like heavy prog, that kind of thing. But I'm on my second spin now, digging it so far. Alright, let's jump into it. Not metal, but just come in yesterday and just finished watching Aaron's video showing some VCLT, and he mentioned this little group on Facebook. We get talking, and we all kind of started talking about Sam Hain the other day, showing stuff. And I finally got this in just yesterday. And this is a reissue bootleg, is basically what it is. But just like the November Coming Fire I showed in a video or two ago, same deal. Very, very well done. This was their first album. Unfortunately, not on black vinyl, but just happy to have it. Has the insert and everything. Very cool. So happy to add that to the collection. Into the metal. Got this a while back. Crisis Battlefield. Basically what this is a band from the tail end of the new wave of British heavy metal era. And this is on Cult Metal Classics. Reissued this. They really never put anything out except for a couple demos, and then years later, like whatever, 15 years later, they put out an EP, and it totally changed their sound. But this is just that kind of hard rockin' new wave British heavy metal. They do change a little bit throughout this. Towards the end, it changed just a little, but it's still cool. And this has the 2 demos, then some live stuff, but not like it's not bad quality. It's in studio live kind of stuff. So very cool. I was happy to grab that. I'd actually grabbed it on CD when it first came out because I didn't even know it was on vinyl, and then it popped up on vinyl. Had to grab it. Like I say, from England, Crisis. Alright, next up is Demon Bitch. Death is Hanging. This is from 2014. These guys are out of Detroit. And this is an EP, and there's only 300 pressed on vinyl. This is number 106, as if it matters. But very cool. Vocals are a little lacking. And of course you can tell it's that new wave of traditional heavy metal kind of thing. And man, if that isn't an 80s style cover, I don't know what is. They just released their first full length excuse me, this year. I haven't grabbed it yet. I haven't seen it show up really at a decent price anyways, so I will be watching for that. Next, this just kind of pulled this out of the collection. got a hankering to hear it. It's Warrior, Fighting for the Earth. Love this album. It's just so freaking cool. Late 80s. I don't have my glasses on. Mid to late 80s. This is just killer metal. They were from LA, if I remember right. If you've ever heard Malice, I always think of those two bands together, Malice and Warrior. Just a similar sound. Kind of an 80s Priest kind of sound. Very well produced. It wasn't raw. This is on MCA. Killer album. If it ever pops up, if you're into that era of metal, definitely check it out. Next, total holy grail. Stumbled across this. I completely love this album. I've had it on CD since it came out. Originally came out in like 2006. Excuse me. This was their first album. Japanese band called Hellhound, and this is Tokyo Flying V Massacre. Check out that cover. It's a total, just makes you think Exciter, Anvil, something like that. These dudes, total 80s style metal. And they're one of those, we are metal kind of bands. Metal is in most of the song titles. You have Metal Attack, Metal Zone, Metal Assassin, 666, Heavy Metal Patrol, Metal Warrior, Heavy Metal Generation. Like I say, this was their first album. They have 3 total. I have the first 2 on CD. I never came across the third one. But of the 2 I do have, this is the one. The second one's definitely cool, but this album's just great start to finish. If you've never checked them out, they're so worth checking out. Diabolic Might Records. Excuse me. Which I had never heard of until this. But so cool, man. I stumbled across this online, and it was just like, you are shitting me that somebody finally put that out on vinyl. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time ever this was out on vinyl. And pretty sure they're dried up. Maybe able to find one floating around out there somewhere. But if you do, totally worth it. That album is fantastic and totally fun in a Man-O-War type over the top. They don't sound like Man-O-War. They're more in that Exciter kind of vein. But just killer. Next is First Strike, Only for You. And I actually have a copy of this, but I came across an autograph copy, like real cheap. So I'm not a big fan of autographs, but this one you can tell is, nobody's going to fake a First Strike autograph. And actually there's little notes, and they're all written to Estelle here from each member of the band. These guys were from New Hampshire, I think, and this was the late 80s, like 88, 89. And they kind of sound like they look. They're kind of more hard rocking than they look, just that hard rocky kind of glam touch or whatever. It's not really a bad album. EP, whatever you want to call it, 6 tracks. And that was a total indie deal. Railroad Records out of New Hampshire, Bedford, New Hampshire, which is the same place the band's from. So, a couple reissues from Razor of Shotgun Justice. Most of their stuff got reissued not long ago, and this is High Roller. High Roller does it right, but I think I mentioned before, it's just one of those bands that got by me in the 80s. Heard of them, and actually had a friend that had some of their stuff, but for some reason I never got turned on to them. And then their first EP, Armed and Dangerous, and this is freaking fantastic. Very cool. Razor out of Canada, thrash metal. Should be, and sometimes is, spoken of just like Exciter, Anvil, all those bands. You know, Razor was a killer band, and somehow somehow I just didn't pay attention. But it's cool, these are being reissued here and there, so I've been grabbing what I can. And I do have one or two OGs on the shelf, but trying to fill in what I don't have. And this popped up cheap on Amazon, I think it was. And got a text from LJ, he's like, dude, cheap, better jump. And I did. He grabbed one too, which is the Quiet Riot, Live Riot 83. It's just some live recordings from Quiet Riot. This is on Deadline, Cleopatra. Sometimes they, I don't know, quality's not the best. I tend to not get too excited about their releases. But like I said, this was really cheap, so I went ahead and grabbed it, and it's really good. Sounds good. It's on a red vinyl. Really heavy. 180 gram. Totally worth it. Happy to add this to the collection. Last thing in this stack, I'll have to grab some more, is Wrath, Nothing to Fear. This is a mid-late 80s band out of Chicago. Thrash metal. What's going on, Vance? You watching? You around? Where you been? I need some lunchtime updates, man. But very cool. I think they had 3 albums, late 80s, maybe up to like 1990 was the 3rd one. And they may have had more after that. I don't know, didn't pay attention really after that. But cool stuff, just total, you know, that kind of thrash, maybe a touch of crossover, kind of. This is on Medusa. Cool label. You see these around, not like mega rare or anything. Alright, let me grab another stack here. Okay, just a few more here, non-metal stuff. A couple 10 inches. One from the Smut Peddlers, 10 inch. I'd never heard these guys, I don't think. Man, I don't even remember the year on this. But very cool. In that punky vein, Humpers come to mind. Really cool. I dug this. Trying to find a year. I actually ran across, while I was up in Pennsylvania, a little antique place that had a section set up in the back. We were close to Pittsburgh, and the guy from Get Hip was selling a ton of stuff in there. And that's where that came from, and this 10 inch, which is the Conquerors. Turn on, tune out, drop dead. And you can see the Get Hip label here on the back. And this is from the 90s, 1998. It just total that garage revival kind of stuff. Pretty sure this, it says 98. I'm pretty sure that's when the band was active, even though they have a very 60s kind of look on the front. I don't think this was an original 60s band. I didn't really, here's the vinyl. I didn't really research this one too much. Totally dug it. It has that garage type vibe to it. Yeah, something you would see Garner showing. So, very cool. Killer Comp. I ran into this, I don't know, sometime over the summer. But I've been wanting to get this, and actually, I don't think I've shown this. Hopefully, there might be a couple in here I've shown it already. But anyways, ran into this, and this is a comp I've been wanting to pick up. A guy I work with had brought this in, showed it to me one time. Very cool. He used to collect vinyl years ago. But he's like a 60s guy. Anyways, this is Michigan Rocks. And I've seen this comp around, and usually it's like 20, 30 bucks. And I ran into it for $10. in fantastic shape. And it's pretty killer. It's got, of course, you know, it's just all Michigan stuff. MC5, the Stooges, Bob Seger's System, Detroit with Mitch Ryder, Frost, Nugent and the Amboy Dukes, Third Power, SRC, the Rationals, and just a killer Michigan rock album. And this was from '77. And here's the label ring. But I was super happy to find this. Like I say, I've run across it a couple times, and it's always like pretty expensive. And yeah, it's a compilation. I wasn't going to spend big money on it, but $10 I thought was worth it in the condition this one was, which was really nice. So another one I picked up yesterday, kind of a blind buy. And like I said, the guy at the shop, at this shop I go to, kind of leads me here and there. Check this out, check that out, and ended up digging it overall. It's not the greatest, but I was actually hoping it would be a little heavier than it was. And it's White Summer. Here's the inner label. Like the sticker on here, yeah, first time ever on vinyl reissue. U.S. private pressing from 1976. Michigan's Power Trio, White Summer. Progressive hard rock with psych touches. Top level musicianship and stunning lead guitar all over. Kinda, yeah. I mean, you know, progressive hard rock, psychedelic touches. It's pretty much it. I was hoping, you know, it's a trio. Hoping it would be a little heavier, a little bit of heavy blues in there. Not a lot. Definitely a couple songs on here, very cool. Overall, it was a fun listen, but I don't know. I don't know if I would, especially everybody that's into the heavy 70s, looking for this kind of stuff. Corey, you know, Garner and everybody. Definitely a cool album. Not a heavy 70s album, but it was, you know, definitely a cool pickup. Happy to have it. One I found a while back, finally spinning. And actually, before I found it, I was looking for it for a while. This goes back to Fitzy, back when he was making videos in the VC, you know, down there in Dallas. He showed this band Cobra, First Strike. And as soon as he showed it, it was like, I have that. I need to pull it out and spin it. I went to pull it out, and I didn't have it. I could have swore I did. It was just one of those albums I used to see all the time. And of course, after Fitzy showed it, I couldn't find it anywhere. Finally, it popped up, and I had to grab it. This is a killer heavy AOR album. It's 83, totally in there. You know, that Loverboy, early Sammy Hagar kind of stuff. Just really good, man. And it's not overbearing with keyboards, if there's keyboards at all. It seems like there's a little bit, but not a massive amount. Just straight up, this is a good album. This is you know, melodic, heavy, hard rock, whatever you want to say. AOR, really cool album. And I was super excited when I finally found it. It's just one of those albums, you know, you see all the time and you think you have a copy of it, or you used to. And then you go to pull it out and it's like, Jesus, I can't believe, you know, I never picked that up for $1. And, you know, but finally did. Next, Caius, Welcome to Sky Valley. And what was this, their third album, next to the last album, I think? Definitely more of a fan of the first couple, Wretch and, crap, I can't even think of the name of the second album. The red cover, whatever, the second album. This one's cool, and it has a couple of songs I definitely do dig, but they were, by the last couple albums, they were kind of petering out for me, and then, you know, Queens of the Stone Age come along, which I don't get at all, I'm not a fan of. I like the early Caius. And not to say this is a bad album, I'm happy to have it. One of the reissues that come out, last year or year before. It's just, you know, they come out of the gate perfect, those early albums, and they were just, you know, really dug those early albums, and then they started kind of changing a little bit, which, yeah, cool, what's whatever. An album, it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. An album I totally dug when it was out. I bought it when it was brand new, you know. I was totally into the scene. And it was cool. And CD's been on the shelf forever. And I wanted to get the reissue. And the reissue was on Music on Vinyl, which are always just ridiculously expensive, stupid. Finally found a copy that was very nice price, so went ahead and picked it up. It's Temple the Dog, and I haven't spun the CD in years. I mean, years and years. 15 years at least. And when I dropped the needle on this, played this, you know every song by heart basically, and I'd totally forgotten how freaking awesome this is. This may be one of the best albums from that era, from that whole grunge, if you want to call it that grunge era or whatever. Yeah, it was just hard rock, you know, hard rock metal to me. But, you know, and I loved all that stuff, Mudhoney, early Nirvana. Everything was played out by 92. But that early stuff in the late 80s up to like 92 is fantastic. And this is just, you know, I can't remember the exact year on this. But I gotta get some glasses. But, like I said, holy crap, I'd forgotten how great this album is. Just a great hard rock album. And I'll tell you what, man, all the metal guys that, you know, grunge killed metal and blah, 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 what the hell ever, man, you know, it played itself out just like this stuff did, you know, 5 years into it, it played itself out. But, man, you know, if you dig hard rock or whatever, if you can't dig this, man, you know, you're just being closed-minded. This is a great hard rock album. And a lot of that stuff, you know, the first Mudhoney and first couple Soundgarden, all that stuff's fantastic. It's just once it got into the mid-90s, when it was all over the radio and everybody's tired of hearing it and everybody's trying to get their next hit, that's when it all went to crap. But anyways, Blind Buy from the New England trip about this time last year, October last year. Band called the Laser Band. When the Manslayers Jam, whatever that means. And of course, I grabbed this because of the cover. It has an awesome freaking cover. And I believe this was early 80s. Yeah, it looks like 1980. And they don't look too bad. Looks like they may be pretty rockin', hard rock band. It's kind of what this is. And to be honest, it's not really all that memorable. It didn't blow me away at all. It was just it's an enjoyable listen, but I couldn't sit here and tell you a killer song off this right now, having listened to it 2 weeks ago or whatever. But looks like it was an indie, or at least definitely a small label release. But the cover was worth the price of admission alone. Another James Brown reissue from his movie Ski Party. I Got You, I Feel Good. And it's just another one of those reissues I talked about. Picked up a bunch, $10 a pop. Still sealed, brand new. So, dig James Brown. Just listen to one here and there. Slowly feed them into the collection. Another reissue, Legacy of Brutality from the Misfits. Just finishing up. I've had all this Misfits stuff on CD for years, and they have Earth AD, an original, and a real old Walk Among Us. But yeah, trying to fill out some of the other stuff. Static Age, Legacy of Brutality. I've had Collection 1 and 2 for a long time, but You'll never get anything original by this band. They're just so ridiculously collectible and pricey. So reissues are fine with me. Like I said, I've had the CDs forever, and I never got around to buying a lot of the vinyl from them. It was the same way with Nevermind the Bullocks from the Sex Pistols. I just had the CD probably from the 80s, man. Whenever it first came out, they first put it on CD, and I just actually bought that on vinyl, a reissue, a year or two ago. And for as long as I've been collecting vinyl, you would think I would have a copy of that on vinyl. Anyways, next, Uncle Tupelo, Still Feel Gone. This was their second release, 91, I think, 90, 91. Killer band. I don't think I've shown this yet. I'd like to get, they have 4 albums, so I'd like to get the other 3. Of course, they split. A couple formed Wilco, one formed Uncle Tupelo, Sunvolt, but country, rock, punk tinges, whatever. Check them out. Part of that No Depression, alt country, Americana, whatever. They were a very, very important part of that whole thing in the 90s. Kind of kicked it off, actually. So, and last but not least, T-Rex with Tanks. Love T-Rex, said it before. It's another reissue. Original copies of T-Rex albums, if they ever show up, which they hardly ever do, other than Slider, maybe, or Electric Warrior. They're always just completely, utterly beat to shit. But, yeah, there's some great reissues out there floating around, so I've been grabbing some of those as they go. Love T-Rex, man, just great stuff. He had his own thing going back in the day. Alright, that's it. Definitely got some more to show, but that'll be in another video. And just wanted to say hello to everybody, man. I haven't been doing too well with the commenting and even replying to comments on my videos. Sorry about that, but I'm trying to stay caught up, and I'm actually doing pretty good right now on everybody's videos. Loving everything. Just saw Garen, one of his videos showing growers of mushrooms, Leaf Hound, killer album. Always dig seeing what he shows. And everybody, George, LJ, who hasn't been posting much either. And it's been a slow summer, man, for everybody. Aaron, same way. Yeah, he's got a lot going on, just hasn't been posting. So, fall is rolling around. That's the best time, I think, collecting records, man. You get out, it's not all freaking smoking hot. It's a good time to be inside spinning records, too. So, just want to say, I'm still around. Sorry if I haven't been commenting. I am watching. A lot of times on my phone or on the TV, and I don't get to the computer as often as I used to. But I'm still here. And I guess that's kind of it. We'll see you in the next video. Later, BC.